2. And we are recording with my buddy David O'Neill, and back again for the second time, Mr. Brian Rust. And David was actually the person that had me get on Brian. We talked last time. I think your internet cut out, but to just kind of continue the conversation about let's just continue right from there. Earl and his cookbook. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, Earl in the cookbook. Earl is like this redneck guy that he'd been like a caller to the morning show forever. And when I took over the show, he continued, and every morning he'll call you in his breakfast, and it would be like an elk steak and these muffins that he made and the type of cigar that he's having and all kinds it's just crazy. It's like a man's breakfast, and he lives in Montana now and still calls the show. So he's a unique character, to say the least.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you definitely have a unique community, and that's why it's like, man, we got to shine the spotlight on those kinds of communities and build more of that around, because as censorship comes down on all of us, it's back to the basics.
It really is, man.
Yeah, it's true.
I've had her on a couple times before, a lawyer, Bobby Ann Cox in New York State. She's absolutely brilliant. And she's kind of leading the whole, I guess, fight against vaccine mandates for kids, because she has, I think, 2 or 3 little kids. And this is all stuff she talks about, so I'm not like doxing. She has her own podcast. It's not like me just saying, talking about this woman and her family. But she's very well-rounded. She's very patriotic, but she's very, like, unlike me, where I'm kind of shooting from the hip and screaming. She's much more mature and measured. And I had never heard her swear in my life. And she called me the other night, and like an adult, I was playing Mech Warriors on my Xbox in pajamas, and I was like, "What's going on?" As I do. And I was like, "What's going on, Bobby? Like, I haven't talked in a while." She goes, "I'm so fucking finished with it." And I was like, "What's up?" And she was like, "I'm honestly about to take my kids out of fucking school and move to fucking Florida." She goes, "You're not vaccinating my kids. I'm not doing this fucking shit." And I'm talking to all these other moms, and if we can't fix it by January when they're going to vote on it, I'm moving to fucking Florida. And I was like, okay.
As a homeschool Florida man, I welcome her. I welcome the family. Welcome to the team. I'm all about that.
You were homeschooled?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Come on, bring it.
Now, and we kind of talked about this last time, Brian, is like, it seems, because David, you're in Florida, Brian's in Florida, Dale's in Florida, Debbie Wood's in Florida. It kind of, there's this sort of like cut your losses, and maybe not cut your losses, but focus on what is working. There's like I love those cheesy motivational quotes, but I mean, one of them is like, find what works and quadruple down. And when you look at something like California or New York or Washington State, and it's like, sure, they're, guys like Joe Kent, like, they're fighting the good fight. But all the times you look at it and you're like, man, should we waste resources trying to fix this place where it's legal to shoot up heroin and shit on the street? And, pedophilia is just seen as like a quirky thing about you and not a crime. It seems like
it's a sexual preference is what
it is.
Yeah,
it is. It's just a preference. That's just, okay. I just want to, I just identify it. I just identify as a suicide bomber. It's not a crime. If I take down the traits, it's just how I identify. It's a quirky little thing about me that makes me me.
Born this way.
Yeah, born this way. Just perfect. Just absolutely perfect. The universe doesn't make mistakes. But it seems like you kind of have to not shore up if that's the right word, bulk in defenses and quadruple down on what's working, whether that be Texas or Florida. And individuals like Miss Cox, who's like, fuck this shit, I'm just going to move to Florida. That's all well and good. David, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this. What do we do to make sure that those places don't fall? Like, we have a great spot to go to, right? I mean, people always would flee countries in the Soviet Union or from Cuba, and you come to the United States, right? You flee Nazi Germany to the United States. There's nowhere to go if the United States falls. And now that it seems that sections of it have fallen and people are fleeing to Florida and fleeing to Texas, I mean, we have to look at the patterns. There will be a point when there are no more like islands to jump to. You have to make a last stand. And for the fucking FBI watching, I don't mean that violently. I mean that politically. How do we shore those things up? How do we make it so those places don't fall and do make it an oasis for people who want to leave and go, I just want the normal United States back. Like, I just leave me the fuck alone, David.
Well, going back to, our conversation way back when we first started talking everything in Bolivia, it always comes down to our biggest threat. And I know you were talking about this with Debbie Wood, is the rhinos and the traitors within that are going to appease the enemy. Because at the end of the day, you have this corrupt establishment that's going to sell you out no matter what. And when you get sick of them and you throw them out, which for us was, voting in Donald Trump and getting, giving Hillary Clinton to boot, they bring in the red terror and double down until you beg for the moderates to come back. And for us, that's like the Lockheed Lindsey Grahams and, those kinds of rhinos. And, our mutual friend, how I found you, as Don always likes to say, it's not a conversation, it's a war. So for us, it has to be, we look at what the left does and, to go back to enemy at the gate, setting up the belt fed behind your own men and saying not one step back. That's what the Democrats do. And the problem is our Republicans, they know that we see the red terror and we have to vote for them no matter what. And once they get in, they're like, well, we know we have that support. Now, how do we bend down and appease the other guys? And so the most important thing we have to do is, go back to our Clausewitz, remember that politics is war without bloodshed and war is a continuation of politics. And we have to remind our Republicans, if you're not ready to take this to the continuation of politics, should they throw out the Nuremberg Code and try to put us all in gulags, we're going to give you the ultimate ultimatum of step up or be thrown aside.
Yeah,
politically, of course.
Yeah, like who's the EU health chief, who's got like a comically evil name. It's like Ursula von der, but she brought up on, what was it, Thursday
and Blofeld
or a Wednesday. She said we should seriously consider scrapping the Nuremberg Code. And like a month ago, she was having dinner with the CEO of Pfizer, and it's like, oh, okay, so I mean, right, there's those COVID quarantine camps in Australia now, and I just watched an interview with a woman who was thrown in one of them and got out. I mean, like, it is slowly happening. So I'm trying to look like multiple steps ahead. And so, Brian, what can we do about this, or what can, because again, there's a feeling of hopelessness. It's like, what the hell you're watching this thing, on fire, and you're going, this is terrible, but you don't have a fire hose. What can people do? Again, we're talking about Florida. Everyone I talk to about this is in Florida, so we're going to focus on Florida. What can people do now to just do something?
There's a lot of things. I mean, first and foremost, it's got to be a put the foot up somebody's ass and let them realize that we're not going to put up with it anymore. The problem with Republicans and conservatives and really those on the right for a long time is, one, we have jobs, so we have to work. We raise our families, so we have jobs and our families to work. We have responsibility for ourselves. So we've never had the real time to do all this protesting, all this other bullshit that you get from the left because they don't work. They live off of us. And I think really what it's getting down to is, getting good politicians in there, like Kat Kamak. She's a representative from the Gainesville, Florida. I just had her on my show the other day, and she's one of those fighters. So you need people like her and Matt Gaetz that are going to be able to get in there and call people out. And, if we don't start putting our foot down and saying enough is enough and knock it off, we're going to be faced with the problem. Here in Florida, I mean, my piece of advice, and, FBI, how you doing? Thanks for listening. I know you listen to my show and download it. I can see it in Virginia every day. Bottom line is,
welcome to the club.
Come fuck with Florida. Yeah. I mean, come fuck with Florida. And it's literally going to be, fuck around and find out. I hope and pray that, it doesn't get to that point. But when you start thinking about things like, Wisconsin being the 7th largest army in the world, when you take the hunters into consideration, you look at Florida, where just about all of us are armed in one way or another. Hopefully it'll never get to that point, but I think we need to start with putting our foot down and saying, fuck you, enough of this. This is how it's going to be. And we need to be the adults in the room and tell these kids that are whining and crying all the time to knock it off and just kind of take control. Cause that's what they've done. They've taken this control away from us by being the loudest one in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. David.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you're saying. There's so much of, we just kind of sit by and we have this white knight kind of scenario, which is, we see someone, as soon as we get someone that's even half good, we just kind of throw our support behind them. And like right now, Ron DeSantis is doing pretty good, but, we all remember, oh, Dan Crenshaw's coming in. He's going to be a badass. He's going to be the right one. And, we all saw that he joined right on with the whole track and trace and COVID surveillance right away. And it's like, those are the guys that we got to get rid of. Like they have to go.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it? The vaccine data for all future listeners. Today is Sunday, December 5th, 2021. They're voting for a vaccine database, a nice tracking. I mean, Christ in heaven, don't just.
Yeah, there's 80 Republicans that voted for it.
Yeah, like let's just skip the foreplay. Just mail out the gold stars so I can sew into my clothes now. Like let's stop wasting each other's times. You know what I am and I know what I am. But before all of that, and to be less of a doomer, and yes, shout out to the downloads in Quantico and Langley.
McLean, where's my McLean boys at?
I gotta find them all. Yeah, it's actually a fun way you can kind of reverse engineer where all the headquarters are. You're like, I never knew the NRO is headquartered here, but I got a lot of listeners there now. Hey, but so for people that, it's very easy to just look at the big goals and focus only on that. Like when I try to grow this podcast, it's very easy to be like, I just got to get on Joe Rogan. I just got to interview Trump. And it's like, dude, there's a trillion smaller steps you can take that are much more realistic, much more doable. And it takes some time, but you just kind of got to set your goal on the horizon and then just go through the motions, right? Just go through a month. This is episode 636. Just get lost in the sands of time and just do the work and build up the pyramid of power. So with that, as opposed to just looking at huge things like, one of 2 Senate seats or Congress seats or even state Senate, what can people do to, you kind of got to do like the inverse McCarthy, right? Be like, it's not just Congress. They're infiltrating media. They're infiltrating schools. It's like, well, okay, well, how do we take a page out of McCarthy's book? Let's be what McCarthy projected. How do you flood all the little things like city council, like school boards, like sheriff's office? What are the things, because you two both live there, what are the things that people can start aiming for that, again, like you said, Brian, people with jobs who maybe can't drop, Mike Durant running for Senate out of Alabama, right? But he's built up a successful defense contracting company over the last 20 years. He's able to do that. Joe Kent out of Washington State, he retired from 20 years in special forces. He was able to sort of pivot that way. But for other people like me or you just doing a podcast in a bedroom, what can people start running for that you don't need to be, I'm not a polished politician. Well, you don't need to be a polished politician if you're just running for the school board association in Bumblefuck, Florida.
Or a New Jersey truck driver with $150.
Yeah. Like what?
Yeah, right.
What tiny things can people flood in Florida? Whichever one of you wants to take this, David, Brian.
If I recall from Brian's last episode, you were running. Previously, you had a minor run in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I ran for a county commissioner twice, and that makes an impact. But I honestly think, and I've called this out many times, I think that the revolution in this country is actually going to start in the school boards, because that is where they have infiltrated so many generations with just basic mind-numbing, brainwashing, and these school boards, as you're looking at them across the country, like Loudoun County, Virginia is a perfect example where people have finally said, fuck this, enough of that. Now I see what you guys are doing. And they woke up, and now we're starting to actually see a lot of these parents that, both Democrat and Republican, this isn't just a left-right thing, that are realizing what the progressives are doing to this country, and they're stepping up, and you're seeing new people running for school board all the time. I had somebody, I was at a rally a couple of weeks ago, and I had somebody come up to me and said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm running for school board. And I'm like, don't whisper that. I'm like, scream it, get out there and tell everybody. And I'm like, hey, this one here is running. This one's running. And so I was, that I think is one of the starts is right there. And that, and I mean, people just in general, letting the politicians know enough is enough. And of course, the bureaucracies is the area that's the worst. I mean, you can get the best politicians in there, but with the bureaucracies. And of course, look the Build Back Better and the infrastructure plan, which is going to be adding more to that. Until we get those under control, that's how we lose a lot of freedoms. And we'll lose the entire country to a bureaucrat, not to a politician or a president.
Yeah, that's why I very often say, like, the average American isn't even aware that the senior executive service exists. And it's basically like an EU within America that essentially every other alphabet agency has to answer to. And nobody even, knows that you could pull up this thing called the Plum Book and you can go through all the names and the pay grades and who they are. But most people don't realize they exist. And just like you said, you hear these people standing up and starting to run for those smaller positions. And whether it's you with your radio show or Tommy's podcast or, Don the Pleb bringing on Joshua Ham, who's our guy running for, state house out in Texas, I believe 12th district, if I'm not wrong, finding those guys and just shining the spotlights out of them. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to make the Republican Party kind of shift that Overton window and stay loyal to the populace, we have to build that coalition under them. It's going to be like, you're either with us or your political career is over. And that's going to be from supporting the guys that, as you're saying, everyone's passionate right now, because if you come for someone's kids, that's where they're going to come at you first. And so, we're probably going to see them take the school boards first. And hopefully we see that translate over to in 2024 when the sheriff elections come up. That's the next biggest thing is judges and sheriffs. If we're going to tell the FBI, hey, take your fusion centers, take your Stasi and fuck off, we need sheriffs around the state that are willing to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, on a side note, man, it's like the one thing and I said it like a month ago with Dr. Uphughes, one of the physicians kind of speaking out against vaccine mandates. And he was like, man, you're dialing it up to 11 if you start going for kids. And they're like, guys, it's like, guys are always, like, yeah, fuck around, find out. Second Amendment, they're like, go for a woman's kids, dude. It's like, Jesus. It's like, I mean, it's like, if it's, it's like, again, it's like, oh, like, we'll go fight the Nazis, but then we're getting ready for like a mainland invasion of Japan. And everybody's like, can we just like nuke it? Like, I don't want to go in there. Like, there's this thing where it's like, you're going after women's, again, Bobby calling me and like, fuck this, I'm done. And me being like, what's going on? Like there's I wouldn't
don't mess with Mama Bear.
Dude, I would, my dad is your stereotypical stern father, patriarchal figure. My God in heaven, I would fuck with him 100 out of 100 times as opposed to getting in front of like my mom and kids. Like, it's just, there's some, but maybe that's what was needed. Maybe you need that wake up call. But also, Brian, what you said about, don't whisper that, there's a time and place for strategy, right? Now, if you're running for president or something, sure, maybe you keep it quiet. You don't want to give anyone any preemptive attack. You don't announce what you're about to do because they're going to start, character assassination, as with every candidate ever. But with smaller things like this, there's kind of an inverse strategy, in my humble opinion, as someone who's not a strategist, is you do need to say it out loud, because that gets other people motivated to do it and to not feel so crazy, right? It's one thing when people make an example out of things, and look what they did to Rogan, saying, hey, I took ivermectin and it worked, right? Viciously attack. What happens when Nicki Minaj is like, do your research, like, oh, this dumb bitch, where'd you get your molecular biology, right? And you get these attacks. But now let's even just look at Aaron Rodgers. How long did that attack campaign last? A couple days? It wanes, and people start to grow balls to do it. And that's what tyrants and totalitarian governments have known for all of human history, is you don't let anyone get away with it, or other people start finding their balls. And Rogan, Nicki Minaj, Aaron Rodgers, and then you have all these doctors talking out. Now they're kind of losing that. So with little things like, hey, I'm running for school board, that's something you should outwardly say. It gives other people the balls to go, maybe I should do something, speak out against it. Every time I post anything online about VAERS deaths or, election fraud or something, like, there's a very effective tactic. I mean, that's what the CIA started using in the 70s. It said like the most effective tactic to suppress like an uprising isn't like tanks. It's you get the people in their lives to belittle them and make fun of them and ostracize them. Far more effective than a no-knock raid. Yeah, far more effective than a no-knock raid by the FBI, are people I've been friends with my whole life saying, dude, you're a fucking COVID nut. You know, like that is far more effective. That has more of an now. Granted, I'm hard headed and I don't give a shit, and I'm going to keep doing it. But little things like someone saying, "Hey, I'm going to run for school board," even just the announcement, even if you don't do it, just the announcement of saying, "I'm going to do that," it gives other people the balls to go, maybe I should do something. Maybe I should step up. And we're seeing that now. Haven't like a little over half of the states withdrawn from the National School Board Association? But that started very small, right?
We done here in Florida.
Yeah. Well, it's fucking Florida man, right? And speaking of this,
Florida,
yeah.
But speaking of this, kind of, I know I'm going on a side rant there. What's this about DeSantis setting up like a state guard or something? Have you seen that?
I saw that, and I honestly don't know much about it because I've been busy for the past couple of days, and I saw that headline come across, and I was like, oh, what? Where do I sign up? Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, so far it's hard to find any actual concrete details because there's just been so much rhetoric and smearing over it. From what I saw, it was at the very least they're starting very small. I want to say a couple hundred or whatnot, and it's going to be more towards emergency relief and whatnot. But as I was having a conversation with some friends of mine, one of the things that if we do kind of have a parallel guard that answers to the governor, one thing that we have to keep in mind is that kind of forces us to white knuckle down and make sure we don't lose control of that, because we know who they tried to run against DeSantis. He had kind of an Ed Buck situation, ended up in a room, with a bunch of meth and some male prostitutes. And, we don't want that person having a private army, of course, but I don't think it's quite as big as they're making it out to be. I think so far we're just seeing rhetoric, and it'll be a while before we actually see beyond the rhetoric and smears and see what it's actually going to shape out to be. But it certainly is causing waves, even though a lot of other people have these state guards.
Yeah. With kind of all the local elections and things, not just the 2022, but again, smaller stuff, school boards, sheriff's office, etc. Is it something that we're going to see necessarily change stemming from that immediately? Or is this something where, like what we're seeing right now, it didn't happen because of the 2020 election. We're seeing 50 years of complacency, right? We're seeing the fruits of a lot of apathy, complacency, and dirty communist subversion. If people start going out for their local whatever, run for your fucking, I don't know, like head librarian, if that's even a thing. I don't know. How long until there actually is some sort of change in how things are run? And furthermore, the 800-pound elephant in the room, or gorilla, where the fuck the saying is, do the elections still matter? Because a lot of people, myself included, it's very easy to get disillusioned and go, I watched the presidential election get stolen in front of my eyes. Like I sat up and watched the counting stop and reverse. Now, can we be optimistic and say that was a one-time thing? You can't use that card twice, and they used it because Orange Man bad? Or is there still concern about, the elections have to be fair and wink wink fortified in order for any of this to matter? David or Brian, whoever wants to take that.
I can go first if you want here. I think guys like Jeffrey Prather have really, shined a light on this. And, I say we take this as motivation and double down. Because if we look throughout history, once you steal an election one time, you can't ever let the opposition come back and start the witch hunt up. And so we're going to see them come into 2022, really have to buckle down and try their hardest to do it. And guys like Jeffrey Prather, who are like, you know what, we need to get as many people into election observations as possible. We have to get so many people in there so that we can override whatever we're going to do. When they're going to have that moment where they're trying to block out the windows and do what they're going to do, we need to have not just, election observers that are, just blatantly known. We need to have undercovers doing undercover work, making sure that, anything they do is going to get caught, it's going to get shared around, and we can destroy that narrative as it happens. And from there on out, it's going to be, they're either going to have to pretend to bring some facade of justice back, or we're pretty much going to go into the Clausewitzian continuation of politics, which no one wants to see happen. But, if they continue down that route, hello, 1990s Russia, that's where we're going.
Yeah, it's It seems to be that's the only way to go about it. We saw in 2020 that once it was done, it didn't matter anymore, right? There was clearly, hey, you got to respect it for what it was. It was a brilliantly executed attack, right? They were all on the same page. All the news channels were on the same page. They immediately came out with censorship afterwards, right? The little YouTube blue label, that fucking little faggoty thing they put on there. AP, it's called the election for Joe Biden. They had it all right. I mean,
the Red Mirage.
Yeah, I mean, you have to respect it for what it was. It was a brilliant attack. I mean, hey, the Nazis. This is a good thing to isolate. The Nazis had good tactics. They're demons, but you have to respect. Hey, if you want to take America head on, or do you want to get 19 guys with box cutters? I mean, you have to respect an attack for what it was. That being said, we saw that once it was done, you couldn't undo it, right? They didn't take the court cases. They didn't allow any of it. They just shut up, you Nazi. But they had it all. It was COVID mail-in. Hey man, again, brilliant attack. They war gamed it out. You got to respect it for what it is. It seems that the only way to prevent that from happening again, if it does happen again, is either A, make it impossible to even happen. Have so many poll watchers, have so many people that the people who are tasked to carry this thing out start bringing out the coolers with ballots. They have to be so, looking around and going, dude, I'm not doing this, going back to the same store to shoplift.
And those people are going to be easy to spot because their adrenaline's going to go up the same way that you're looking for a jihadi at an airport that's getting real hyped up because they know they're about to do some stuff. That kind of, that criminal guilty mindset's going to show if you really put the pressure on them and you make them feel like, yeah, you know what, maybe 1 in 3 of them is a commie informant, but 2 out of 3 of us is an undercover journalist working for Veritas or who the hell ever.
Yeah. And so you either make it so obvious and uncomfortable that they're not gonna, it's like you've been like, I don't know. I remember you'd be like drinking in my friend's basement in high school, and sometimes his dad would just come down at like 2 a.m, and he wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't be like, show me the alcohol. He would just come and sit down and be like, what games are you guys playing? And he would just sit there for like 5 minutes. We'd all be stoned out of our mind, just scared shitless. But he just kind of came down and then would just walk back upstairs. And it was like, you never bust us. But man, if it put the fear of God in us, we're like, yo, I am not going out to the car to get the beer. Fuck it. We're not doing that. I mean, we're like 15, right? So you can either do that, right? That's one thing. Make it so obvious. Now, let's say that they are ballsy, or the belt fed, the metaphorical belt fed Quantico is behind them, and they're going, I have to go through with this election. I don't care who's watching me.
In which case, we got all the evidence.
Well, what we need to do is, I think, like in real time, like you need people there that are streaming it in real time. Like pull Project Veritas, put like a little button camera on, stream it to my podcast or to Dawn. Like you have to have it going in real time so people are watching it in real time and people going, hey, what's that? What the fuck is that? Have a live stream, make it an event. We can fucking play a drinking game, put on Uncle Sam hats, like whatever. But be like, hey, who's that? Who's 2 a.m? Oh, there they are. What's that? What's that radio flyer wagon? What the fuck is that? And
that's what weaponized autists do.
and let the people, and don't even try to do some subversive, like, got to get the evidence and then we'll bust them. Because that didn't matter with the last election. Let the people there know that it's being live streamed. Pull it up on your phone and be like, hey, they're watching us now. You have to make it so, and there's no intimidation. No, how do we get our ballots in? No, just let everyone be the dad sitting down there. That's just like, so you guys like Halo, and our eyes are just red as fuck, and we're all, no one wants to do anything. Just go down and be like, that's crazy. Someone's live streaming this ballot counting thing. No one's going to bed. You'd think they normally go to bed at 4 a.m., but I guess everyone's having a party. Just put it out there and let it simmer.
See who's uncomfortable in the Panopticon.
Yeah. See who goes, fuck it. I don't want any fucking part of this shit. I'm being streamed. All these fucking retards are watching me cheering. I've got a big, 800 cubic foot cooler I got to pull out of the freezer full of scanned ballots. Like, I'm not getting paid enough for this shit, right? It's I'm not, because it's not communist Russia. They know that they can actually go, fuck it. I don't want any part of this shit. That's what I think needs to be done is just, and it does have the effect of you only need to do it in 1 or 2 places before other people start thinking, is someone streaming this? Is someone streaming maybe they're in the middle of Milwaukee or some sort bumblefuck New Hampshire, but all of a sudden they're going, do I really want a water main break at 2 a.m? Do I really want, and if they start putting up the panels, I mean, make noise about it. And I know I'm kind of ranting now, Dave. We haven't let Brian talk at all.
Exactly.
Brian, what are your
Let's get him
thoughts on
in.
what are your thoughts on this? Because as a guy with like a radio station, what are your thoughts on this? We're just shed light on it. Just put light on it.
Actually, two questions many times. And, he's a
Brian, your audio is all fucked up.
Again,
David, is it fucked up for you?
Yeah, it's a little bit robot-y. I think
It's
he's got a little packet loss.
Little choppy.
I thought my internet was going to be bugging out today.
Yeah.
No. What the fuck?
What it is Google laptop.
I don't know. I can't understand anything.
It's got like I can get a word here and there, but it's got very much that auto tune. I sound like what's that what's the guy that was on the Lonely Island
DJ
T-Pain. That's
yeah,
it.
you kind of sound like I can't understand. I can't try again. I don't know. This happened last time. How the fuck is that? I can't understand a word.
Yeah, I didn't even get a word that time. That was straight robot.
That was straight robot. Damn it, Brian. We're gonna have to come down there and kick your ass.
We're gonna have to get him fiber.
We're gonna have to.
We will.
Is he pulling out a pad to write on? This is hostage situation. Now the FBI is definitely gonna come get us there.
McLean has raided him.
Log out, log back in. Yeah, you should do that. Yes, log out, log back in. Yeah, you should. Yes, it's man. Well, we've never had a hostage situation on the podcast before. I guess this is a first.
We'll have to call the experts.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. It happened last time, like 30 minutes into. He's on a Chromebook, which means, man, you're using that Google product.
I'm on what is this? A Windows Surface, so it's not much better. I was thinking mine was going to cut out today because it was a little sketchy yesterday, but it seems to be holding up all right now.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. No, mine's fine. It's but yeah, I think that's what needs to happen. Let's see, he's trying to come back in. Man, if not, we're gonna have to send him a microphone.
For him.
What?
Well, I don't probably wire more than a microphone.
You think it's that? Yeah,
it
probably
might be like a wireless connection and like packet loss or something.
What's packet loss?
Packet loss, like, so the internet is a series of tubes, and there's like packets like sugar that go through the tubes.
Yeah, it's a series of tubes. Let's see. It says he's still connecting to audio. And
yeah, see,
but yeah, while he's connecting though, it says that did not connect to audio. I don't know, man. Maybe he's just, I don't know. Did not connect to audio. We just gotta get. Don't you have like a studio that he does his radio from? You can't just have him go there, or maybe you can't use that for private use.
That's radio, no, that's.
Yeah, but
well, I mean, it does internet things.
That's what I mean. Well, I mean, if you're still broadcasting,
we just have to get them fiber, you know.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, we got him.
All right.
It's still robot-y. It's robot-y, Brian.
It means we got to get fiber in your diet. I think
we got to get you some better internet, man. This happened last time. I don't know, but it's weird though, because that's not like a thing. If you had bad internet, it would just be bad the whole time. You hit like a 30-minute mark, and then you have to go hostage situation and start writing. And yeah, I don't know.
The FBI doesn't want his take. All right, he's going to disclose Earl's classified breakfast, and then the whole deep state plan just going to come down.
The whole house of cards comes down. Brian, say something. He's not. God damn it. I think we lost him.
One day.
Whatever. Well, one day. Maybe we should just, Brian, your image is frozen. We can't hear anything you're saying. Well, rest in peace. I guess I'll just remove him. No, don't report to Zoom right now. I can't. Nope. I thought I was just
gonna get him in trouble.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, man, that's what exactly is Prather doing? Like, what exactly is you're talking about poll watchers? Is that, or is part of the attack that it has to be quiet?
Well, part of that is they have a wide thing going on. I know Prather's just, he's recovering from, he got, I guess, the Omicron variant or whatever the hell you want to call it now. And he was, sick. He's still a badass, even with the tubes in, and, you can tell he's a little bit out of it, but, he's still Prather, he's still got his badass intros and whatnot. But, what he's talking about when he organizes, say, Team America, and then you go down to the state level and it gets into color coded teams and building these communities everywhere. Purple team being up there in Brian's area, it's just about, getting in there, getting people ready to, whether it's getting ready to do surveillance for the 2022 election or finding candidates to get them going. And at the very least, just getting communities together that, have the food, have skills, have radio in case, some great reset people decide to start toggling our power on and off to see if we start having riots. And they're doing a lot of good work. They have a lot of organizational skills. I will give them that. They're getting, good numbers of people. And I've met some nice people through there, a little bit of an older demographic, but you know what, that's what we need to have happening. We need to be capturing every avenue.
I think what we definitely have to do is now, are there any laws against, before I fucking incriminate myself, are there any laws against, like, he's trying to enter again. Third time's the charm. Are there any laws against, like, broadcasting from elections? Like, are you not allowed to? Is there like laws against, I don't know, like live streaming?
That's a good question. I am not a lawyer, so I know there's. I'm going to have to specify that I am not a lawyer. Never been to law school.
They're going to play this podcast on the projector at the Senate inquiry into us, and it's.
But here's the thing, we saw, and they're going to gamify the rules. It kind of depends on where it's going to be at. And I imagine it varies down to the state and local levels and whatnot, where you see that, we saw like these training seminars of people essentially saying, basically weaponize these COVID rules, make sure that there are certain ways back. So even if they do have their phones out and they are streaming, they might not be able to see what's going on. So it's going to depend on your local area that, and once again, I am not a lawyer. Consult a lawyer in your local area before you do any kind of undercover or streaming or stuff like that. Talk to a lawyer.
You get us fucking killed. Yeah,
I can see Brian's camera moving, so
I can see him.
Picture. I still we
just can't hear you.
His image isn't frozen.
Your image is great. Your the video quality.
Oh, here we go. I got it now.
We got him.
Hey,
I just switched devices. You know what it is? I think because I use my Chromebook all the time for the show, that we're going to the CIA is they're getting into that shit.
Yeah,
happens to me all the time.
You can't use your Chromebook, man. That's what you're saying. Like you can't use a Google product to talk about fighting election fraud. I mean,
I know.
Come on.
What was I thinking? Jesus Christ, man.
You don't report to Himmler that you think there's government overreach. I mean, come on now. you gotta know what you're doing.
I know, right?
Yeah. So what we're just talking about, though, is, and neither of us are lawyers and neither are you, but now, is it illegal to like stream like election, like ballot counting, like poll watchers? Like, is there some sort of illegality?
That was actually what I was about to say. Because our don't tell me it's getting all messed up. Audio.
No, you're good. No.
Okay,
I was just saying, fuck. We have this grand plan to go catch. We have this grand plan to go broadcast live, and I was just saying this podcast is going to be played at our Senate inquiry, and we're all sitting there. And is that you, Mr. Carrigan? I'll be like, I kind of remember. Maybe that's me. But
not me. I'd be like, fuck yes, it was. What are you going to do about it?
Fuck yes, it was. We live streamed that. We had great numbers. There was a super chat. It was great energy.
That's right. There was 5 people, including my mom, that was watching.
We were all there. It was
but no, I've actually talked several times with our supervisor of elections, Mark Anderson, who is he's actually been very involved in a lot of the ways they do elections now here in Florida. Guy's brilliant, former Navy SEAL, and he's done a lot of stuff. And I've brought up that question before. Hey, how about cameras in there? And he said the only problem with the cameras in the room is that this is supposed to be a secret, and he hates to use the word secret, but a secret process where people aren't supposed to be able to see what my ballot was. So there would be an issue when it came to that. But with that said, when we look at the 2020 election, we can pinpoint where all the problems were. You had Fulton County in Georgia, where there was a problem with the 2020 election and the 2021 Senate election. Same county, same problems. And you look at all around the country where the problems were, we know exactly where they were. So I think it would be very easy for us to just put a lot of pressure and focus our efforts on those particular counties to a point where we put such a high spotlight on them that they feel like they're under the sun. That way they know, shit, this is probably not a time to screw this up again and try and do something. And then it'll make everybody else looking at it going, ooh, this is probably not a good idea. So, aside from doing cameras, highlighting that as much as we possibly can, I think is probably definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because wasn't it that Georgia runoff that the same shit happened again?
Yeah, same stuff in Fulton County.
Yeah, and then it's 4 a.m. Oh, Jesus, half the state decided
the toilet's overflowing.
Yeah, I mean, but so many people are kind of awake to it, right? And I do think that there's probably a level of fraud in every election.
Oh yeah,
in human history, there always is. There's always a smudging this way, a smudging that way, right? Yeah, sure, yeah. Every exam given in college, there's some cheating going on. You can't catch everyone. What you want to get by is you can't have this thing where that's the thing is, maybe I'm being naive. Part of me is hopeful that maybe you can't pull it off again, the whole mail, because it's actually none that I think I'm kind of wrong, because I think a lot of places are kind of institutionalizing mail-in ballots, saying that this is just a thing that happens now. And
you need it for the pandemic. It's for safety.
It's for safety.
Kill grandma.
Yeah, I mean, Omicron is the midterm variant. That's exactly what it is. But it is. And
we had to skip over G. That's very important.
We did.
We can't have new and we can't have G.
Yeah, which is just the Streisand effect. What? Well, then why can't we have it? I think what needs to happen is you just have to, put light on it. And if you put light on it and they can't do anything, then you still get your ass kicked. We're like, all right, well, we just lost, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You can just, then that's just losing a game. You go, all right, well, let's come back next year better. But you just have to shed light on it, and you just have to make it uncomfortable. You just have to make it to anyone that wants to do anything.
Deterrence.
Yeah, you just make it uncomfortable. I think you need to have streaming parties and talk about it, because this can't, because nothing else matters. Nothing fucking else matters. Doesn't matter if everyone's getting ready on the local level and you have a grassroots movement. None of it matters if the election can just get fortified at 5 a.m. Right. Literally nothing matters. It doesn't. You don't need to run anyone. It's because it doesn't matter. So that's what needs to happen, and it will be interesting if you do shed light on it. And I feel like it's kind of can go one of two ways. You're going to shed light on it, and there's going to be no fraud allowed, and everyone's going to have gone out and vote with the mindset of we have to overcome the algorithm, and so someone's just going to get blown out of the fucking water. And to me, there's going to be a narrative. So let's say this happens in whatever state with whatever Republican candidate, and there is no fortification because everyone's there and watching, and everyone went and voted in such numbers to overcome an algorithm that wasn't allowed to be implemented. What's going to happen then is the mainstream news is going to then take it and go, it was
Russia fortified the democracy.
No, it's going to say conservative intimidation at the polls led to this. But which is brilliant.
Voter suppression is what they
which is brilliant, though, because they're going to want to counter it by saying we need more liberal poll watchers, which still works out great. The more eyes there are, works out great, because maybe I'm being naive. I would imagine there are a lot of liberals and Democrats who probably aren't for election fortification. They're probably, and maybe I'm just being naive, they're probably genuine people that are, hey man, no, you can't steal an election. I think the more eyes you get there is better. Because you're going to get more eyes. So you're going to have, who knows, maybe I'm just wargaming it now, but I think what it's going to lead to is, well, we need to go match their poll watchers. And now it's just going to be like, well, now it's just turning into this thing that everyone's there and everyone's watching. Who knows? Maybe that results in fair elections.
It could be more eyes, more people watching.
Yeah.
You never know. That way, both sides aren't going to want to try.
That's what I mean.
Because everybody's looking at me. So
that's what I mean.
That, keeping that highlight on it all. And it's not like we got to highlight every single place, just the places we have know or known problems.
David.
Yeah, and getting into that, getting those kinds of Democrats, or what we should say, the old school liberals that are finally kind of woken up and realize, hey, this is not my dad's Democrat Party, that don't want to live under that stuff. Maybe they voted for Trump the last time around, but if they're still registered Democrat and we can send them in as a Democratic poll watcher, guess what? We have guys in there that are going to be more close and more able to detect any kind of fortifications, and those are going to be the unsung heroes that really bring it through if they attempt to fortify the election.
I think it's actually a brilliant plan. Have so many eyes on it that when they inevitably lose terribly, the only rational response is going to be, we have to get our eyes there, which I'm for, because everyone watching an election, no one knows what ballots are in that black SUV that pulls up at 4 a.m. So everyone,
or George Webb's, he loves to say Warren Flood's red Ferrari. I love that term coming in Michigan.
It's what's going to happen is everyone's going to be watching, and it's not like you're going to see like a wagon come out full of ballots and be like, well, those are ours. Everyone's going to be like, what the fuck is that? The liberals are going to think it's conservatives. The conservatives are going to think it's liberals. And it's going to have the end result of just, you can't do this 4 a.m. ballot dump, which is all I want, is a fair election. I have no problem getting my ass handed to me in LA. If you lose, you'll lose. Right. That's fine. That's like the basic premise of all of this. It's like, sure, I'm conservative and I have my like Republican leanings, but like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I just want the actual process, because if the actual process works and you get your ass handed to you, that's democracy, baby. It worked. Yeah. It worked. It's not just Tommy. It's America. There are more people here. This isn't my world. I'm part of a society. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with losing every fucking state. If that's what the vast majority of people voted for, then that's fine.
I, for one, welcome my Chinese socialist overlords with American characteristics.
If that's what they voted for, then you know what? To me, if the elections are fair, I'll be like, you know what? Well, then good. We really are getting what we fucking deserve. What I'm not okay with is if everyone didn't vote for that. And that's, I don't know. I feel like maybe we've crossed the Rubicon, and now, like, if something does happen, it's absolutely going to be tied back to this fucking podcast.
Yeah, so be it.
David.
Indeed. Going back to, what was it? It was your episode with Claire. They originally got yeeted for election fortification talk, if I recall. So technically, I think they would bring that one up first. But you know what? If I can make it into trial, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. That was, I forgot about that. Man, that was back when I tried to stay on YouTube. What a stupid endeavor that was. Hey, I'll just dance around the things I can't talk about. And it's 2:52 now. I got to wrap this one up at 3, so we can go like 8 more minutes. That's one thing I always fucking hate, is when you see someone like Tim Pool, who does some good stuff, I guess, but like when he's always talking about, free speech and censorship and cancel culture, but he will not touch anything that will get him. And I get it. He's got an empire. He's printing money, but like, you hear him talk about America, patriot, freedom fighters. We got to stand up for what's right. But like, he will not let anyone talk about like election fraud on his podcast if it's on YouTube. And he'll even say, like, don't say that. I don't want to get banned. And it's like, dude, you can't like stand up for what you believe in. And then that everyone that is on YouTube talking about censorship, go fuck yourself. Because if you were really talking about the stuff not allowed to talk about, you'd be like me, kicked off and relegated to obscure alternative platforms. And I get that I'm not really enticing that path when I say that, but like, that's just kind of a side rant that has nothing to do with this, is when people say we've got to fight against censorship. You're on YouTube. By saying, okay, we just won't talk about that, you are giving in and you're bending to the knee. Side rant.
Yep. And before we wrap this up, and this goes for Brian and Debbie Wood, I guess, and ways that we can support people that are going to stand up to this shit in the meantime for the 2022 election. If either you or Debbie know any local candidates that are going to be running that, either Tommy can have them on, or we can throw them over to Don's channel, who, he'll support anyone that's doing local activity. Feel free to let us know. And, let's get, we need to shine the spotlight on leaders. So take it away.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We really do need to shine that spotlight. And, on my show, I've been having a lot of elected people on from around the country. I've got the Republican going against AOC is coming out of my show, Desi. He's going to be on before much longer. So
awesome.
I've been looking and finding these people around the country, and I've had a whole bunch of them. And I've told my audience, hey, look, even if it's just a $5 donation, to help them out, do it. So I've been doing that and trying to highlight all these people as much as I possibly can. And you got to do it on the local level. And, school board, I think, is one of the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Who all have you been looking towards, Brian, on having on the show?
Oh God. Geez, who have we had? I've got the Desi, the one going against AOC. I can't even remember who we've had on. We've had so many people.
That's New York.
That's New York. Yeah, it's New York. Like I said, I just had Kat Kamak, the representative from the Gainesville, Florida area. She was just on my show on Thursday. She is amazing. You got to check her out. And I'm trying to think of who else we've had on. I've had so many people on. I've got Dat Boy Victor. I don't know if you know who he is. Talk about censorship. Look him up. It's gonna probably be hard to find him. But I find him all the time. I've had him on the show a few times. Young kid, he's like 21, 22. And he has been censored by TikTok and the other platforms more times than Donald Trump has. He gets blocked, and he's a good kid, good Christian kid. And he just gets up there and he goes, hey, the First Amendment says this. Hey, the 10th Amendment says this. And he gets blocked for it. He's going to be on my show hopefully this week too. But, it's people like that we need to highlight, and just really get that message out and let the cheaters know that, hey, we're watching you this time a lot stronger than we were before. So put a lot of pressure on them, and we'll see what happens. I've got my Congressman Neil Dunn is going to be on tomorrow, on Monday. And, one of the things that he did is he voted for this database thing, like one of the few Republicans in the state of Florida. So needless to say, my audience is what the fuck. So that's going to be one of the questions we're going to be drilling him on tomorrow. So
let us know if you want to replace him. We might be able to find someone.
You know what? I've been asked to do it so many times myself, and I'm like, no. But yeah, I think after this term, he's probably going to get replaced without a doubt.
Well, let's fucking find someone that can do it. And side note, David had a good point back when Brian's devices were being raped by the CIA. Is the whole idea of like poll watchers, they might have an effective plan against it and say that like COVID restrictions, we can't get close enough to watch because of my health.
Yep.
So do we just have to invest ahead of time and buy some like hazmat suits with like ale filtration packs?
Well, 40 millimeter Israeli filters.
Yeah, there you go. But when you look at COVID, they used COVID as a weapon.
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
2020. It was absolutely brilliant. And they keep trying to use it as a weapon, and they're trying it now with the Omicron version of it now. And yet in South Africa, where it's big, all the doctors are going, yeah, it's just a mild cold, get a little cough, not a big deal. And they're struggling to try and make it out to be this big thing. You look at all these mandates that are coming back, indoor masks in New York and everything else. And they're trying to make a mountain out of this anthill. And
I'm so glad our Dixiecrat president banned travel from South Africa and Mozambique.
I know
that kind of racism, as a conservative white male, really makes me happy.
Yeah, right. It's just it's unbelievable. How he can do it, but when Trump does it from the place it originated, he was a racist and everything else. It's just a mess. But I don't think that coronavirus is going to play much of an effect for him this coming year, because it's just getting weaker and weaker. Sure, it's going to spread faster with the different variants, but it's just getting weaker unless they come up with something else this summer.
Especially here in Florida, it's not going to play strong. Yeah. But watch what they do elsewhere, and it's going to be pretty terrifying.
Oh yeah, they're gonna. I wouldn't put it past them to cook something, because there is something about like, they've sort of crossed the route. Like, if indeed the 2020 election was stolen, like you've committed now. You can't let someone else come into power and start looking into it. Like, so I think it's interesting. We might start seeing some drastic measures. I mean,
well, look at all the people that are retiring. There's 19 different Democrats that just said, "Oh, fuck this, I'm out," and they're running.
Yeah, so, it does seem like something's up, doesn't it? Or
they know what's coming.
Am I seeing a pattern that maybe doesn't exist? But it does, because I've thought about that a lot. Like, you have to commit. You have to go all, once you start, you can't dip your toes in. Once you go, we're going to Normandy. I mean, you got to roll deep with 1 million soldiers. You start and you go, this is what we're doing now. You can't. If you go in and if indeed it was stolen, who knows? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe Trump really got his ass kicked. Maybe it was just maybe it really was. I don't know.
After doing 2 rallies a day with God knows how many people.
Yeah, I mean, but the point is I am kind of curious to see what's going to happen, because it seems like we're seeing that now. I mean, like, suppressing alternative treatments to COVID with known efficacy, like ivermectin, all the doctors that I've interviewed, including the inventor of the mRNA vaccine. And now, YouTube, not only banning everything, which is what I got banned for, was having the most published cardiologist in world history come on here and say you should take some vitamins. And then they're going right a step further. Not only can you not post about it, but disabling the dislike button. They definitely don't seem to be showing like, hey, the gig is up. There definitely seems to be, at least in my mind, it definitely seems to be that they're committed, and they're just going to have to start doing it more. Like, you wonder, why are they still pushing these variants? Why are they still pushing these? Because I think they have to commit. And so there's like this weird sort of awakening where every additional variant, it's having the opposite effect now. Now people who are kind of on the fence about it, and they're like, oh, I don't want to be part of the, the anti-COVID vax, scene. Now they're starting to look at it and they're like, wait, my fucking passport now doesn't matter because I didn't get the booster. And they're starting to go, wait, fuck this. And it's
internal passports too, just like when I was in mainland China.
Yeah, dude, it's so it almost seems like maybe they can't, maybe they, Hitler never surrendered. He ordered the Nero decree, which said to burn and destroy everything in Germany. They started getting out, like, I think 8th graders to defend the Reichstag building where he was. I mean, these kids, they took out like 12 and 14-year-old kids, gave them meth so that they, wouldn't be as scared, so they could face the incoming Russian army. Like, there was never a surrender. They just, because there's no coming back from that. When you perpetuate the Holocaust, like, you can't come out and all right, like, the only way out is biting a bullet. I am very interested to see what is going to unfold this fall. Like, if they did commit the crime of the century and and steal an election, they can't. I mean, who knows? Maybe you resign. Maybe you jump ship. Maybe you try to, I don't know, get a deal. Or we're going to just see the most blatant, right? There's going to be
1990s Russia.
There's just going to be another. The election's it's going to be the same thing. The election's going to pause at 4 a.m, and we're going to watch the whole thing. And you got to wonder, man, is that going to wake more people up?
And are people going to stand by and just watch people board up windows, or are you going to see people start clashing and turn into a civil conflict? Like, are you just going to sit there and watch this time? Because I don't think there are people that are just going to sit back and watch that this time.
No, neither do I. And the most ideal way would be you pressure them into not doing it, or you make it so uncomfortable and so obvious that the kind of minions that are carrying it out, make them start flipping, turning states, going, I don't want any fucking part of this. This is a thing. I was told to do this at 2 a.m, blah, 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 blah. Right. Save my ass. I don't know, man. It's definitely interesting. It's going
to be an interesting election. Definitely.
It's going to be. And you know what? If we do all stand by and watch it happen, then we get what we fucking deserve. That's just what it is. But I think that we should show up in hazmat suits with GoPros on our foreheads. Just
that's easy to say in Maryland, man. This is Florida. We'll drown of sweat in the suits.
Hey, right? Well, you know what? Some there will be sacrifices. But All right, we've kept this one going 5 minutes over. Mr. Brian Rust, Mr. David.
Pleasure meeting
O'Neill.
you, man.
Hey,
Absolutely.
and,
Thanks, man.
yeah.
I do appreciate it. It's good,
Yeah,
good to chat with you again, Tommy.
Yeah, you as well. Let's I'll email you. Let's definitely set up another one. And yeah,
And I'll actually go to the studio for that one where they've got really good internet and better computers.
Well, that's what I was asking earlier when you went off. I was like, wait, why the fuck isn't he in a studio? It
Because
dawned on me.
It's Sunday.
personal.
I'm at home kicking around.
Oh, it's also I figured maybe
You're trying to make him work on Sunday.
Yeah.
I forget,
I'm in
yeah.
my underwear and
Yeah.
a t-shirt. So I mean, come on, man.
Hey man, that's more than us, and we don't even wear pants when we do this. But yeah, that is kind of a realization I had. I was like,
He
wait,
does radio. He doesn't even have to wear anything, in theory.
shut up,
I'm
David.
dressed up now.
Yeah, yeah, I put on my Sunday best. Yeah, and I'd love to see how that interview goes tomorrow with Neil Dunn. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be posted on my my Facebook page.
I'll be listening live.
fuck
All
yeah.
right, man.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care. God bless.